This tutorial is for first grade, Module 4, Lesson 20. In this lesson, we're going to use the read, draw, write strategy to solve word problems. And we're using tape diagrams, which will lead the students to be better efficient with tape diagrams in the upper grades. And so that's why we like to introduce this strategy at the lower grades to get them comfortable using it when the problems aren't quite so hard. So the first problem says 9 dogs were playing at the park. Some more dogs came to the park. Then there were 11 dogs. How many more dogs came to the park? And we have our tape diagram drawn, and we need to first start off by filling in the labels. The top description on the tape diagram is showing me how many dogs are represented by the entire tape. From this end to this end would be all of the dogs, and we know in all we had 11 dogs, so we'll say there are 11 dogs in all. This first part of the tape represents the number of dogs that were playing at the park at the start. So if I go back to my problem, it says 9 dogs were playing at the park, so we'll fill that in. 9 were playing at the park. I'm going to draw circles to represent those 9 dogs. So I'll draw a group of 5 first, and then I'll draw 4 more so we can clearly see that there are 9. Then it said some dogs came to the park. Well, we don't know how many dogs came to the park, but we do know in all we're going to have 11 dogs. So the question is, how many more dogs will I add in this part of the tape to make the entire tape worth 11? Well, if I have 9 dogs in the first part of the tape, then I would need 2 more dogs in the second part to equal the 11 dogs in all. I have 9 in the first part, 10, 11. That tells me that 2 more dogs came to the park, and we'll fill that in our answer statement. 2 more dogs came to the park to play. So if I had 9 at the start and I ended up with 11, then 2 more came along to play. And that tape diagram gives us a visual representation of the word problem. Let's look at the next question. This one says 16 strawberries are in a basket for Peter and Julio. Peter eats 8 of them. How many are there for Julio to eat? So again, we have a tape, and from one end of the tape to the other would show us all of the strawberries. Well, since they started with 16 strawberries, we'll fill that in on the blank. So I know that both sides of my tape together need to equal 16. The next part of the question says that Peter eats 8 of them. So that first part of the tape shows the part that Peter ate. So Peter eats 8, and I'll draw those 8 in that tape diagram. And again, I'll show a group of 5 and 3 more so I can see that there are 8. And now it asks how many are there for Julio to eat. Well, I know if I have 16 in all, and part of my tape diagram already has 8, then I need to fill in the rest so I have a total of 16. So I have 8 here. I'm just going to keep adding them until I get a total of 16. So this would be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That means that there were 8 strawberries left for Julio, because 8 and 8 together make the total of 16. So Julio has 8 strawberries to eat as well. The next question says 13 children are on the roller coaster. 3 adults are on the roller coaster. How many people are on the roller coaster? So this time we're trying to figure out the total. That's the question. We do know that from this end of the tape all the way to this end will be our total. The problem tells us that we have 13 children, so I'll fill that in first. We have 13 children, and I'll draw circles to represent those 13 children. So I'm going to draw 2 groups of 5, so that's 10, and then 3 more. It also says that there are 3 adults on the roller coaster, so we'll show that in the shorter end of the tape, and I'll draw the 3 adults. Now I have to figure out the total. Well, I have 10 here, and 3 and 3 makes 6. So 10 plus 6 would be 16 people in all. And we'll fill in our answer statement showing that there are 16 people on the roller coaster. Let's look at one more question. This one says Ben has 6 baseball practices in the morning this month. If Ben also has 6 practices in the afternoon, how many baseball practices does Ben have? So again, on this one, we're looking for the total number of practices. So that means from this end of the tape all the way to this end would be the total number of practices. The first statement says that he has 6 baseball practices in the morning, so we'll put that in the first part of the tape. There are 6 practices in the morning, and I'll draw those 6. And then it also says that he has 6 practices in the afternoon, so I'll fill that in and draw those 6. And now we just need to find the total. So I have 5 here and 5 there, that makes 10, and then 2 more would make 12. So Ben has 12 baseball practices in all. And again, the tape diagram is just a visual representation of the word problem, and this is just the start for the children to practice with tape diagrams. So as they continue in later grades and the problems get a little more complicated, they will be comfortable using the tape diagram strategy already.